Hi, everybody. We are doing another Wednesday live masterclass. This is another position for profit workshop, but this one is all about creating systems through AI for entrepreneurship because, again, the whole thing is positioning for profit, not for pain. There are four levels of positioning. There is being positioned for pain, position for progress, position to pivot, and position for profit. And so these workshops are called Position for Profit. There is the one you've seen already that is all about the five core principles of securing press and media. And this one specifically is creating systems using AI for entrepreneurship because most entrepreneurs are excellent experts, geniuses, and gurus about that one thing that they do well. But, when it comes to the core parts of running a business and just the levels of copywriting, content creation, accounting, bookkeeping, keeping a balance sheet and a P&L, which every entrepreneur should have on the side of their desktop. When it comes to all of those things, we need systems for those, and that's just really what it is. I will dive into some of that here, but first, we're just going to talk about the art of brand clarity and brand strategy because we have to use AI for getting crystal clear on our brand clarity and our brand message before we even go into um, using the AI tools. If we don't get the first part right, we can't get the next part right. All right, so in the introduction, I'm Shantae Bacon, a communication strategy expert who has built a multi-million dollar PR firm over the last 20 years, working with brands like Apple TV, Google, YouTube, Disney, Paramount Pictures, NBC, Peacock, Netflix, and more. And helping them all to launch strategic multicultural communications campaigns. How did I get here? So, I got here because I was blessed every step of the way to have mentors that pushed me out of my comfort zone, that kicked my ass, that demanded more of me, that would not let me coast, and making the leap from a well-paid gig in the music business into with a brand new mortgage and all of that into entrepreneurship. I was in my mid 20s, so I always say I was young enough to be bold and fearless on that, right? Because would I make that same decision now? Obviously not. I have my 83-year-old mom that I take care of who has dementia. I have my 5-year-old son. I cannot be just taking a leap for no reason at all without thinking through who else's life it's going to impact. But in my mid 20s, I was like, hey, new mortgage, it's okay. I'm going to work it out and just quit my job and started a business. So, did that, launched in 2005, 135 agency, 4 years of working mostly music industry projects until we got tired of working for pixie dust and promises. And then we started working for money when we pivoted into film and television. And that allowed us to be able to actually grow a business. And so when the dream job turns into a beautiful nightmare, you really just don't have any choice but to pivot and do something different. I had an entrepreneurial itch already. My mom was the first entrepreneur I ever met. She had her own business in the basement of our home, and I sat in on her classes. She used to teach word processing for anybody who was alive in the 80s, and some of those entry level kind of nursing skills. So fast forward, wanted the entrepreneurial itch, started the company in 2005, started pivoting into film in 2010, then got our chance to pivot into tech in 2016, then got our chance to pivot into politics in 2018, and the business became a multi-million dollar business in 2016. And just kind of expanding more and more, and adding more verticals to our offerings. Um, in the next 90 minutes, what we're going to discuss are the following principles. So, faith, mindset, clarity, identity, and frameworks. And so, if you're anything like me, when you see words like mindset, right, and clarity, you start rolling your eyes because I believe that every single Instagram guru probably has some Instagram and Facebook ads running where they're talking about mindset, right? And the only thing is that even though it's an overused and abused term, It truly is the first and most important foundational building block before you get anything done in your business. It just has to happen. So there's a reason why you keep hearing mindset. Now, faith as foundation. Anybody who has ever seen me do a masterclass, a conversation, a panel knows that for the 20 years that 135 was in business, I always would say God was on the board of directors for 135 because I don't know how we made it through. There were times when the bank account was so low that we were just like, oh, let's just go to sleep and think on it, or times like during the 2008 mortgage crisis or during COVID, where we thought we were at the end of the line. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was a whole new, fresh revenue stream. So I've always believed that um, business ownership and entrepreneurship is biblical. There is a book by Rabbi Daniel Lapin called um, uh, Business Principles from the Bible, and that book is freaking insane. I mean, I don't even have the words for how they articulate and give examples of how entrepreneurship appears throughout the Bible. And I do believe that owning a business is spiritual. That's spiritual work, because if you read the Bible, you can see all the times where people had this one gift or blessing that God gave them, and together they worked as a marketplace. And so I truly believe that about business. And I believe that if you're going to get through those moments where that business tests your soul, tests your patience, tests your sanity, and everything that you believe in, you're going to need faith as a foundation. Entrepreneurial exhaustion is real. Decision fatigue is real. I mean, entrepreneurs usually just kind of collapse under the weight of decision fatigue because you have to come up with the solution to everything. You get tired of having to be the person who makes the decision because no one else wants to take responsibility for the decision if it goes wrong. And so everyone looks to you to be the fixer, the money maker, the check writer, the person who takes the responsibility if everything goes wrong, but never the person to get the glory when it goes right, right? And so what I would say to that is, it's real, and faith as a foundation would get you through that. If God gave you the vision, why on earth would you play small with it? I always say the first and easiest way to use chat gpt to create systems in your life is to start using your prompts, right? So this protection prompt, and I will definitely share this on my Instagram page after the masterclass for those people who want it and or haven't seen this but would like to use it. But I start with stuff like this: act as a spiritual business advisor, because you have to tell chat gpt how to think, or it will give you the same thing it's giving the guy next door who's asking about legal work. So chat gpt, act as a spiritual business advisor, help me realign my business goals with my faith-based values, act as my faith-driven business strategist, ask me my business goals and where I feel disconnected from trusting God fully, help me reveal my fears, self-sabotage, or control that block obedience. The reason why that's important is because all of those things that we do to ourselves, the fears, the self-sabotage, the obsession with trying to control everything, it takes you out of alignment with what your purpose is. And I am not a religious person. I am not a minister. I am not preaching. I'm just telling you what works for me and what I truly believe works for entrepreneurs everywhere. And I think that, it's beyond affirmations, but it's literally trusting in having some kind of daily guiding principle that can take you places, of peace when everything is challenging, looks like it's falling apart, when you're being tested to your limits, when you think you've made some kind of breakthrough and then you realize that all you did was get a whole bunch more problems that you have to solve. All of those moments, that's how you want to make sure that you use your chat gpt to ask how you can ensure you're in alignment and obedience to your mission, right? Your mission. Prompting you to check in with the Holy Spirit. That is an active exercise I use Chat GPT for every day. Whether it's a parking space or something as small as a nasty email, I ask for the Holy Spirit guidance on how to do the right thing and not intensify a difficult situation with the wrong decision. Close with a prayer or encouragement to trust God's timing and persevere. Then show me how I can make this a weekly scheduled task. And that's where your systems come in. The weekly scheduled task is what makes it a system, because every day you're going to do the same thing. You're going to read the same prayer. You're going to level set your mindset so that it helps you, it does not hurt you. So those that is a way that you can use chat gpt almost as a spiritual advisor, but really as like an executive assistant that is helping you to always remember to keep the mindset right and grounded and faithful, because the moments where a business is going to test you, they are not far away ever. So I always also like to share in my master classes some type of verse from the Bible that I feel like helps entrepreneurs, especially. And this is one: be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? Because it's hugely important that we make sure that we keep our minds fresh. I had a mentor years ago in the music business, and he said, your only job is to take your hits, take your knocks, and every day wake up and come back with a fresh perspective, not jaded. Because when you are jaded, you're the only person who pays for that, no one else. You're carrying that baggage, that chip on your shoulder, that anger from what so and so did, or who lied on you, or who said you did it, but it was really them. And all of that is just making your day, your journey, and your experience heavier. Let's just keep going. Why mindset is the first multiplier. Your business can only grow as fast as your beliefs allow. There's no such thing as a business that takes off and is wildly successful with an owner who is second guessing, self doubting, not believing that they're worthy, not believing that they're in competition with everyone out on the street. No such thing. You have to be grounded in purpose and alignment, and know that you're on your journey and no one else's. And that's hard to do, especially because today, I mean, we have all of these comparing tools, which that are disguised as social media. The entire purpose of it is for you to scroll and look at what other people are doing and saying and experiencing, so you can go at home and look at it and say, how come I don't have that? Why isn't that working for me? And so mindset is always the first multiplier. The only real battle you're in is the one within yourself. You are not in battle with any of your competitors. You are not competing for what you do or for customers. Everything that you think that you're fighting against is not nearly as significant as the battle in your mind. If you can win that one, you done already won the race. Okay, so four categories of disempowering beliefs. Let's talk about those. So, number one is anxiety. I don't know about anybody else on this masterclass, but for me, this one right here was a demon that took me my whole life to overcome. I will tell you for sure that I was hospitalized with my first anxiety attack when I was 24 years old. I was at the Too Fast, Too Furious premiere in New York, and I kept drinking Diet Cokes by like the big jug in the movie theater, thinking that that was going to make it easier. It was making it worse. And at one point, it felt like there was just a huge vibration in my chest, to the point where I just took a car service out to my mom's house. And at that time, she lived in Long Island before she moved back to Queens. And I walked in the door and nearly collapsed, gasping for air. The EMTs came and they were like, ma'am, are you on ecstasy pills? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? I'm gasping for air over here. What do you mean ecstasy? She was like, look at this blood pressure. She's like 116 over 71. I'll never forget it. She was like, we wish everybody had this blood pressure. She was like, this is the blood pressure of a teenager. Get out of here. She was like, this is all in your mind. She was like, we're going to take you in. But she was like, you're not like gasping for air in the way that you think. So heart rate was through the roof because of the anxiety as well. Went to the hospital, and the first thing the doctor said when he looked at the vitals and then came in and saw the heart rate, he said, what kind of job could a 24-year-old have that would have you in my emergency room with a severe anxiety attack? So when I tell you I have my PhD in anxiety attacks, I have been to the emergency room at North General Hospital in Harlem, right across Mount Morris Park. And I was going there so frequently in my early 30s and late 20s that the lead doctor, Dr. Lynn, would be like, Miss Bacon, why are you back in my emergency room every time I felt like I was going to die? And it was because I did not know how to control my anxiety until I literally went on a retreat and learned how to stop high anxiety thoughts before they take over your mind and make it feel like it's so real. Number two, another category of disempowering beliefs, which I touched on already, is comparing. If you don't know that comparing is the fastest way to um, add heavy baggage that you have to carry around, that is the fastest way to put obstacles right in front of you that you cannot overcome. Is constantly looking at your journey, looking at someone else's, and saying, why isn't this happening for me? Why are they having a different experience? They're having a different experience because they have a different journey, and you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And even the comparing tools disguised as social media set it up so that all day long, the second you open it, all you can do is compare. You have to be mindful, and that's all about the mindset being the first multiplier. You have to be intentional about saying, I am not going to I am not going to allow this tool, this comparing tool, to suck me in and start comparing. Not doing it. I can watch from afar like I'm window shopping without having to buy any of what they're selling, right? That's a huge thing. Number three is disempowering belief is when you don't have a plan. Most people don't create the plan because they don't believe they can reach the end. So they're just kind of winging it and they're going, I'm going to go ahead and just try it. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to see what happens. Up. I'll see what happens. No plan for what happens when they actually reach a goal, a milestone, something that they have been striving for. And it's much easier to get to achieve that goal, milestone, whatever objective you are trying to achieve if you have a plan. When you don't have a plan, you don't control the outcome when obstacles and things pop up that you weren't expecting. If you have a plan, then you know a way to pivot quickly and get back on track. If you don't have a plan, you're not in control. You're riding the wave of whatever is happening every day. That's how a person can call and derail your whole day. Or you can scroll and see a Instagram post that will derail your whole day because you did not have a plan for that day. You did not have a plan for that business. You did not have a plan for that project. You did not have a plan for that season or that quarter. And that's important. Number four, destination obsession. I'm guilty of it. I know I am. But when you're so obsessed on the destination that you cannot enjoy the journey, if you cannot enjoy the journey, you will vastly increase the possibility that you would be miserable through the entire entrepreneurial experience. Entrepreneurship is a journey, it is not a destination. It's not like, oh, I'm just grinding until I build my business and it's wildly successful. And oh my, there's so many entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur started their business to be wildly successful. Not every single one of them are. Some of them are just breaking even. Some of them are just paying their bills enough and then having a little bit left over to go on vacation. Some of them just want to leave a little bit of money to their kids, but they're good at this one thing. They can't stomach the idea of having a boss, and so they're on the journey. There are some entrepreneurial ventures that are wildly successful when the stars, moon, and sun aligned, when the mindset is right, when the focus is on, and there's nothing wrong with that. And some people just get into entrepreneurship to grow a business, sell it, move on to the next one. They are not emotionally tied to that business whatsoever. And so, whatever journey you're on, you need to make sure that you're enjoying the journey and not just focused on when you get there. It will get greater later, is one of the biggest setups I've ever heard in my life. Most of the people who are out there saying it gets greater later are absolutely not enjoying the right now, and they know they're not. And they're committed to not enjoying it because they're invested in this time when they will be able to enjoy something later. Don't do it. It's a setup. All right, so moving on past that, if you've ever had these doubts and frustrations, you are so not alone. I've had all of them. I practice all four of those categories of disempowering beliefs, all of them. I will use my 20-year track record in communication strategy and entrepreneurship to strip away the barriers and hurdles, right? And we're using entrepreneurship to set up systems. That's what this whole thing is about. From no one sees me to I am not positioned yet. Understand that rejections are a part of the process. Even Beyonce, the queen, has been turned down. Anybody who you admire has had more failures and more obstacles in front of them than you can even imagine, but you see the end result. So you don't see what happens when all of these other things are going on. So, what I would say is that we have to figure out a way to um, find our superpowers in being vulnerable, right? So most people feel like vulnerability is a weakness. Vulnerability is something that they're afraid of. They don't like it. They'll resist it. They only go in spaces where it's safe and comfortable. And what I would say is that you want to make sure that you are embracing vulnerability along the whole way because um, of this. No one sees me. Most people stop right there instead of being like, well, I'm just not positioned right yet. They're like, no one sees me. I don't know why I'm posting. No one's reading. No one's looking at my YouTube page. No one's looking at my Instagram page. No one knows what I'm doing. And they get discouraged. Discouragement is not really, it's not it happens. It's something to experience in the moment, feel the feelings, and then move on and keep on being okay with vulnerability. Hiding costs a hell of a lot more than putting yourself out there and taking risks and risk looking stupid. Because at the end of the day, everybody is risking looking stupid in order to get the big, payoff or the big goals that they want to achieve. And that's totally okay. The more I always tell my son, like the more life is a game of reps. The more reps, the more failures, the more wins. That's just there's no way around it. What you survived becomes your strategy. From pain to proof, social proof, life proof, um, unbreakable proof that you can survive anything, things you never thought you could. And then that becomes your platform. It becomes what you help other people around to do. And that is certainly in alignment with God's purpose for you. You go through your journeys and your trials for a reason. And when you get your testimony at the end of it, it is selfish to keep it to yourself. You have to use it to help other people. So, here are a couple of things that I use every morning to make sure that I am sticking with all of these in order to make sure that I'm sticking in a growth mindset. 15 ways to develop it and stick to it. Act on feedback. Most people are afraid of feedback because they don't want any criticism because they automatically get defensive and they view all feedback as haters. And I used to be guilty of this as well. Now I ask for feedback on everything because I want to know where I can improve because I know I'm not perfect and I know no one's as good as they think they are at a particular thing. If I'm constantly acting on feedback, I'm constantly improving. Using the word yet at the end of your thoughts. I can't do this yet. I'm also training my son to do this as well. He's like, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this yet. I haven't done this yet, but I certainly am. Yet is a powerful tool that you must activate on a daily basis. Set learning goals, right? Have specific goals around learning, not just performance. Because if you're constantly learning, you can never become outdated. It's easy to become outdated in a world that changes completely every 4 years. There's something new, there's something that shakes us up, there's something that appears out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it's the norm. And people who are stuck like 5 years ago are in a whole nother world than everyone else. I mean, just think about it. COVID happened, right? Turned the world upside down. Just like that, overnight, millionaires and billionaires are being made by sitting at home in their living room and leaning into social media because that's the only way to connect. And then what happens in 2022? AI comes and comes in big. And then there's people who are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm afraid. They might be taking away my privacy. You gave your privacy up a long time ago. You have that cell phone. It can tell you how many breaths you took, how much sleep you had, how many steps you ran last week. I mean, it's telling you everything about your whole life. It's listening to every conversation. Siri hears everything that you say. All of those things are happening and you don't mind it. So don't act like AI is the lead to the end of your privacy. We all gave that up a long time ago when we traded it in for cell phones that keep our whole lives on there. Your bank statement is on there, what you bought at the supermarket, your energy bill, what the thermostat is in your house, when the guy's coming to pick up your laundry, everything about you is already there. So forget the obstacles and the hindrances and just lean in on learning new things, new innovations. This is an exciting time to be alive. Seeking challenges, pushing yourself to try things you aren't good at yet, even if you suck at something. Even if you suck, just making a commitment to get 0.1% better will give you the confidence to keep going and keep trying and keep learning. Chasing progress, aiming to, like I just said, aiming to get better each time, not to be perfect, just doing a little bit better, or just sucking a little bit less than you sucked the day before. If that's what it takes, small wins will get you there. Go for it. Embracing failure. Again, life is about reps. The more reps, the more failures, the more wins. There's no way around it. That is a principle of life. Celebrating effort, celebrating small wins, being patient, building persistence. We all do it every day. Being curious about new innovations and not resistant to change. That's one I had to learn very painfully years ago. Finding others, finding others to collaborate with, finding others to celebrate, finding others to learn from. Just because someone does what you do does not mean that you are automatically in competition with them. You could learn something if you lean in. Reflecting, looking back often, learning from past experiences, learning from how you did it yesterday to make sure you don't do it the same way tomorrow. Taking risks, seeking new opinions, and self talking with radical forgiveness whenever you make a mistake. And radical forgiveness comes up several times in my master classes because radical forgiveness is necessary for you to keep moving without carrying baggage with you, regret, shame, and all of those things that suck the life out of your dreams. All right. So here's another way that we can set up a system within ChatGPT that will help to make your entrepreneurial journey just that more satisfying. Act as my inner freedom mindset coach. Literally, I'm not BSing. Your inner freedom mindset coach. Remember, mindset is the first multiplier. Everything else grows off of that. Begin by asking me my current business challenge and where I feel I'm in competition, rejected, or held back. Those are all disempowering thoughts. Help me recognize that my greatest battle is internal, rooted in old labels and false identities that I've carried, like being too much or not enough or not skinny enough or not tall enough. Any of those things. Ask me to name one of these limiting labels that I've internalized based on the words of someone else whose opinion really doesn't matter. Guide me to release the need to prove them wrong and instead embrace who God made me to be without fear, lack, or trauma. Help me reframe every no as guidance toward my unique path. Encourage me to view others as collaborators, not rivals. Then design a weekly exercise where I reflect on any baggage I'm holding, release it, and affirm that I am enough. Finally, show me how to make this mindset renewal a daily habit. That's when you turn it into a scheduled task that you stick to religiously every day. You go back to that task and you say, yep, this is my mindset renewal for the day. I'm moving on. Again, those will be dropped on my Instagram page over the next week. Let's get to your brand clarity. Can a fifth grader tell you what you do for a living? Because if they can't, then somewhere along the line, you're probably bleeding money or bleeding leads or bleeding some kind of new client that would have signed on but wasn't sure exactly what they were signing on to, right? That's key. And please forgive the sound of the boats. I'm in Bahamas. I'm on Paradise Island, and for some reason, I feel like the amount of boats that are going by just quadrupled out of nowhere. All right, let's move on. So, entrepreneurial guidance straight from the Bible. Again, like I said, I'm going to keep saying this. I am not a religious person. I am not an expert on the Bible. I am not a preacher, a minister, or anyone who claims to have some kind of higher understanding than anyone else of the Bible. I just know what works for me. And I know that entrepreneurship is spiritual, it's a spiritual exercise, and that it requires um, grounding in the word and guidance to get you through those times when the business and the entrepreneurial experience is going to test your soul, and it's going to distract you. It's going to make you wonder if you're doing the right thing. That's where the Bible verses come in because they really, really, really do help. So, this one right here, write the vision and make it plain, from Habakkuk to chapter 2, verse 2. So, really powerful verse there for entrepreneurs because we always feel like we have to keep adding value and adding more words and adding more speech. When the truth is that we have the vision, make it plain, make it make sense, show the value, move forward. And that will help in pitching for press, pitching for business, creating systems, or anything else that you need to do for your business. All right, so brand clarity equaling cash flow. If I can't say what you do in 7 words, you're leaking income. I can guarantee it. You have to figure out how you get that clarity and use AI to do it. So, my first suggestion here is starting a word bank. Every business should have a word bank. And this is an ongoing project. You do not create it one time and finish it and that's it. Nope. This is an ongoing project that you will continue to use throughout the life of your business because as you escalate and you grow and you progress to the next level, your word bank will expand and you'll find better, more exciting, creative, fun ways to say what you do in less words. So, ChatGPT is awesome at helping to figure out how to say something with ultimate clarity. Do you know you have or do something remarkable? That is key. Do you know your business will benefit from proper positioning? Again, key. Because if you don't know the answer to these 2 questions, then you need to take a giant step back and get back to why you're doing the business and what value it is that you're providing. If you know you do something or have something remarkable and you know that that's what people come to you for, then you're moving forward with this. Do you know your business will benefit from proper positioning? If you know the answer to this, let's move forward. If you don't, take a giant step back and evaluate what you feel like your business would benefit from. So let's talk about brands that actually weren't clear and didn't have good positioning. So confused brands do not convert, right? So MySpace, we all know what happened there, right? They were an early player in the game of social media and communities, and were um, they were they were killing it for a short while until what happened is the users took over the platform where the founders had no idea what it was for anymore. It became a real space of lack of clarity. A lot of people posting images of their backside, butt photos, soft porn, people just trying to connect in ways that the owners hadn't intended, but they kind of enjoy the riding the wave of a lot of people who just kind of found their way on there and were kind of addicted to what they were seeing. And so ultimately, when you have things like Facebook that came back and were very clear, we are here to build a friendship community. Couldn't get any clearer than that. Started on a campus. People could get with that. A community of friends. Okay. Next thing you know, we don't, MySpace is dying a slow, painful death. Blackberry, same. Who didn't have a time port with the little flip top and you're typing, and what a great experience, right? Unfortunately, they just could not anticipate that a guy named Steve Jobs was innovating this iPhone that did everything your laptop does, but in a small little phone. So it was like just not prepared for the moment, even though they were first on instant messaging and essentially all of the building blocks of what we do every day, all day now. Just not being clear on how to innovate or what exactly this customer, where the needs would be. Steve Jobs was a genius at actually anticipating what the needs would be. People want music all in one place. They want to be able to have one device where they can play video games, where they can do presentations for work, where they can instant message, where they can download apps, where they can do everything they want to do in one space. Kodak. I mean, I think we all know what happened here, right? They owned the camera space until this same guy, Steve Jobs, was like, why can't they take photos on their phone? And then it was a drastic decrease in the people who needed cameras. And so, as digital cameras came to be, Kodak did not, they lost control of their category and the innovations that happened within their category. And finally, Yahoo. And I only have them listed because Yahoo and Google, same time. Google, ultimate search engine. Yahoo, good, but not branded as the world's biggest search engine. So, unfortunately, lost market share and positioning all over the place. And you see what happens when your brand isn't clear. All right, let's go. So, into the intro. I feel your pain if you have wasted money on expensive consultants with no ROI, if you're hidden as a best kept secret despite having remarkable work, if you're struggling to catapult your business to 6 or 7 figures in the next year, if you're not getting any traction with positioning yourself as an authority in your industry, right? So these are kind of like really common problems that entrepreneurs all over the world experience, right? They're all having this in some way, shape, or form, right? They're so good at what they do, head down, toiling, job creating, making a high impact for their customers, bringing value, changing lives, but they don't have time to transcend the walls of that business because they are still trying to satisfy customers that they want to keep happy. So we get it, we understand. And once they hit that ceiling of as much income and revenue as they can generate on their own, then you're stuck at the 6 or 7 figures that you can do on your own, but you can't get past that. And no traction with your positioning because you don't spend time on positioning because you're keeping the business afloat. So you're watching other people who haven't done what you're doing before at that level, who are new, maybe a year or two in, but what do they have time to do? They have all day long to book themselves for panels and be on Instagram, positioning themselves as the authority in the category that you own. Happens, common frustration. You've got to figure out your positioning. So let's go here. If you're suffering from lack of media exposure, struggling to get my message in front of a wider audience, content overwhelm, I'm unsure of how to craft messaging for media pitches and public platforms to effectively tell my story. Time constraints. I'm sorry, real quick on the content overwhelm. That is content overwhelm for publicity and media pitches, but also on just straight content creation for your social pages and your own media, right? Same overwhelm, just a different type of avenue. Time constraints, battling, balancing, running a successful business and wearing all the hats while trying to handle PR and marketing on your own, and discovering your audience. Here is the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs. And this is every single one of my students knows exactly what I'm about to say. But I always say, when you find your people find you. Your job is to constantly find out where your people are. What are they consuming? What are they doing? What are their pain points? You have to find your people. You can't just exist and then expect them to find you. You have to be proactive and intentional about finding your people, and then they will find you. And after a while, you will not have to go out to find them because they will find you because they are people with the other people that found you already. And now the word is spreading. And that's when your brand starts becoming a household name. All right. Positioning begins when your audience instantly understands the value you bring. Right? So let's talk about a live audit of a clarity test. Now, here's another one of those AI systems that you can create, right? You can go to ChatGPT, but you can also go to Claude. You can go to Perplexity. Perplexity will give you a nice, deep answer. But ask it to create this type of live audit for yourself and then give it to your customers, your most loyal customers. When you tell someone what you do, can they repeat it back easily? Ask your most loyal customers, if you had to say what I do, can you repeat it back to me? That's how you get information. And when you get information, you find your people. And when you find your people find you. How often do people ask you to clarify what your business does? You have to answer that for yourself, but you also want to do a weekly test where you asking Chat GPT to update this based on the feedback that you have gotten from your people. How often do people ask you to clarify what your business does? If someone saw your website or social bio, would they know who you help in 10 seconds? Because if they have to sit there and try to figure that out, they're gone. And that's a missed opportunity. When you share what makes you unique, do people show excitement or curiosity? Now, curiosity is one thing. Oh, that sounds interesting. But straight up, like confusion, I don't know what they just said. That's a problem. And it needs to be fixed ASAP. That means that you went deep into the reserves of your mind and you started wonking out on industry specific jargon. Once you do that, a person who's not as well versed on that industry specific jargon has absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And that look of confusion on their face ultimately turns into a blank stare. And then they turn around and they walk away. You don't want that. You definitely want them to have a little bit of curiosity and maybe some excitement, like, oh, you do that? Okay. But when they're like blank stare, okay, I'm moving on because they're not going to invest the time to figure out what on earth you just said. What is the single biggest challenge you are having in acquiring customers? We all need to answer that question on a weekly basis because that answer is going to change from time to time. Initially, it could be that they don't know what you do, what you offer, and you could be having some brand clarity mistakes. Ultimately, as you are continuing to have problems in acquiring customers, it could be a price point that doesn't suit the value that's presented. It could be that it's just the customer journey towards buying what you have to offer is complicated, difficult. It could be something as simple as your website goes too slow, so they bounce right off of it. It could be like it takes too long for me to wait to do this, so I don't have that kind of time. So you must always be checking in to find out, like, what is the single biggest challenge you're having in acquiring customers? You have to know that. All right. Next is, let's talk about the analysis super prompt. This one is called a super prompt as opposed to the other ones because this one is something that you should automate and every week be asking yourself this again and again so that you can refine the word bank that we discussed for your business. ChatGPT, act as a world renowned brand strategist and creative director who has launched billion-dollar blue chip brands across the globe. Hi, ChatGPT. I run a business in so and so. I serve my clients differently from my competitors by doing this particular thing that you can only get here. My secret sauce is blah, 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 my unique value. My current brand message is I need your help to see if this is crystal clear. First, does it explain what I do and for whom? Second, does it highlight what makes me unique? Third, is the tone right for my audience? Because if you're talking over your audience's head, you're wasting your time. They're not going to invest the time to figure out what you're saying. Fourth, what can I improve for impact? Now let's go deeper. Could a fifth grader understand what and repeat? Not just understand, but repeat what I do. And does it still convey what makes me special? Finally, based on what my most loyal customers say, why they keep coming back, how can I align my message even better? After your analysis, offer 3 sharper, more memorable versions. All right, so get that super prompt. I'm gonna leave it up for a second for anybody who wants to screenshot. Again, all of the prompts will be posted on my Instagram page at Shantae Bacon. And I will also try to get them up on my YouTube page at Shantae Bacon so that you guys can actually grab these. I see somebody asking for screenshots, but I will certainly get those out there. Brand identity. This is once the brand is clear, what's your brand ID say about you? What do people say about your brand when you are not in the room? How does the brand make them feel? Entrepreneurial guidance straight from the Bible. Again, I'm gonna say this again for the third time for everybody who might have missed it before. I am not religious. I am not a preacher. I'm not a minister. I do not claim to have any higher understanding of God, the Bible, the Holy Spirit, or any of that. I just know what works for me. And I know that entrepreneurship is a spiritual exercise. I know that the spiritual grounding is what is going to keep you and your business afloat when those times come up where that business is testing your soul, testing your patience, testing your belief in everything you're doing or have ever done. And I find that it is a source of renewal and empowerment to actually remind myself of these Bible verses. So, this one, abide in me and I in you, a branch cannot bear fruit by itself. John 15:4. This one is for all the people who feel like, as entrepreneurs, you get a bad rap because sometimes when you have decision fatigue and everyone comes to you all the time to solve all the problems and come up with all the answers and make all the decisions, then you start to actually believe you have to come up with the answers to fix everything. And if there's any entrepreneurs watching this right now, please drop a one in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. Everyone's coming to you for all the answers all the time. So you feel like when a problem comes up, you automatically jump into fix it mode, right? Because that's what you do. You fix stuff for everyone else. When you are fixing these things for everyone else, you actually start to sometimes believe you have the answers to everything. You do not. And believing that you have the answers to everything and you have to fix everything is the fastest way to raise your blood pressure, to give yourself anxiety. I always turn everything over to the Holy Spirit and request guidance, and that works. Feeling like, yep, looking for a sign here. Holy Spirit, help me to see what I'm missing in this situation. And that works well for entrepreneurs. Definitely works well for me. And I've heard from several entrepreneurs that this definitely helps them to not feel like they have to fix every problem because it's impossible. Are you a proud card carrying member of the Best Kept Secret Society? If your answer is yes, you can jump off of this masterclass right now. If you are not a proud card carrying member of the Best Kept Secret Society and you would like to position your business for profit and step into the authority that you have already established but that people don't know about, then we need to keep going. So your brand is not your logo. It's your energy, it's your presence, it's your reputation, it's how you make people feel. It's what people talk about when you're not there. It's what they say when they say, "Oh, you need to check out so and so." That's your brand. The culture, the energy, the pace, the aesthetic, when they think of relaxation, do they think of your brand? When they think of high energy, optimism, excitement, something moving fast and changing the world, are they thinking about your company? What vibe do they get when they, I mean, that is an overused term, but it's so right. How a person feels is really your brand. It's not the all of the fun stuff that we like to spend time creating. Extracting and communicating the remarkable things about your business, right? So, pinpointing what makes your business stand out and how to communicate that effectively, that's where the work needs to go. The reason why I called it extraction is because when you eat, sleep, and breathe a business, it is so easy for you to get weighed down by, or even not, I won't even say weighed down. It's so easy for you to get excited by being in the weeds, talking about that business, the nuances, the industry, insider jargon, and all of that, because you eat it, sleep it, breathe it, live it. Other people do not. They are not going to get into the weeds with you on wonky talk. They don't know industry jargon. They're not gonna hang around for 10 minutes to understand what you're talking about. You have three sentences or less over email, one and a half sentences or less over DM, and literally 30 seconds or less when you're talking to somebody to hurry up and say what you do in a way that they can understand and that a fifth grader could tell you back before they move on. That's what I mean by extracting and communicating the remarkable. I have no doubt in my mind that if you answered yes to the question that you do or have something remarkable within your business, that you are out there changing lives, you're adding value to your community, you're having a high impact on your customers and all of that. I have no doubt about that. But how you describe it is something different. And a lot of people don't know how to say it in less than 5 minutes. And you don't have 5 minutes, you have 30 seconds. So, what exactly is the most remarkable thing? It's a core principle that if it's not remarkable, it's forgettable. So, we got to find what I call your 1 minute wow, positioning through visuals, voice, and vibe, right? Because it is an energy. The way you speak about it is definitely being picked up. When you meet somebody and they're overwhelmed by their business, and their business is it's stressing them out, it's weighing them down. They're stressed about taxes. They're stressed about staff. They don't even realize the unspoken cues that they're giving off about their business to people that they speak to. You can hear that they are not having a good experience, and that does not make people want to go and find out more about your business. It makes them be like, "Ooh," it makes them want to be, it makes some people afraid of entrepreneurship. Positioning yourself so the world calls your name before you arrive. Key. Positioning is equal to predictive trust. It basically builds familiarity, which builds preference before they've even met you, right? So, positioning yourself well, all it does is buy you benefit of the doubt until you prove that something's wrong. But you've been positioned well enough. They've heard from other people. The brand identity and is clear. You've got the brand clarity going on. You're moving into being positioned for profit and closing the deal. And so, as long as you don't F it up, you're on the road to closing a new sale because you've been positioned well. So, they already trust you before they've gotten there because of what somebody else said. That's called goodwill. So, here we go. Um, I just don't know if I'm good enough. I haven't had formal corporate training. This right here, common self-doubt amongst entrepreneurs. You don't have to worry about that. Self-doubt is something everyone has, and good corporate training doesn't always help an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, entrepreneurs always look to corporate folks for guidance, I guess, because they feel like they're making all this money within corporate America, and they are. But nothing burns me more than we have a group of entrepreneurs that are being talked down to by people in corporate Americas. They have no idea what you're going through building that business and what it takes every day to build something from scratch that makes money, pays other people. You're responsible for other people's mortgages. You are handling and managing your creative input while also making it better, innovating it, and adding value. Just trust in what you have. My clients say my designs are amazing, but no one ever sees my work. Common problem. You got the small circle of people who already believe in you, but no one else sees it, right? You've lost $5,000 paying for a publicist or a brand strategist or whoever in some kind of consultant role that didn't give you anything. And I don't know how to do PR. I'm not a publicist. So here's one of the things that a self-led PR campaign has done for me personally. When 135th was only 1 year old, Saptosa and I leaned all the way in on um, actually doing for ourselves what we said we would do for our clients. And that was the only time we ever really needed to do that. After we did such a good job, was featured in Essence in 21 Entrepreneurs they wanted to highlight in 2006, featured in Rolling Out, featured in all kinds of, I think, Ebony magazines and all kinds of, we did media interviews. That was enough to position our business as a trusted, validated partner in the PR and marketing space to the point where we never had to do it again. Then the press started coming to us, as did the clients. It positions you as an authority. You leverage what is great about your business that no one else has, and that gives you this level of what I call visibility velocity, where you're only going up this way. And I'll get into that framework in later versions. All right, identity prompt. All right, this is the third. Is this the third? I think this is the fourth prompt. So we're talking about creating systems using AI here to help your positioning. That's what we're doing. So this is an identity prompt, right? Because we're talking brand ID and what people think about your business when they see it. So you're going to your Chat GPT or your Claude or your Perplexity, and you're saying, act as a world-renowned brand strategist who has overseen the launch of hundreds of globally resonant brands with blue chip companies. We are thinking and operating from the mindset of someone building a global brand. Help me clarify and refine my brand identity by evaluating my business, the industry, and marketplace through the lens that I am in competition with no one. My journey is my journey, and my superpower is the way I deliver what I deliver. Help me identify what makes my brand remarkable, worthy of remark. That's what remarkable means, including the strengths, the language, and the qualities my customers consistently reflect back to me. Then help me to clearly articulate do, who I serve, and why it matters in a way that aligns with my purpose and the value I provide in the marketplace. If any part of my brand profile lacks clarity, presence, sharper 30-second brand statement, and a compelling 1 minute, well, formerly known as a elevator pitch. If the Wi-Fi is flashing in and out, like I said, I'm sitting on the side of Nassau Harbor, Nassau, Bahamas, and the Wi-Fi has been a little bit shaky. Just hang in there; it'll come right back. Okay, if any part of my brand profile lacks clarity, help me refine it so my messaging, positioning, and presence become sharper over time. Guide me to create a clear 30-second brand statement and compelling 1 minute wow that makes people instantly understand my value and want to follow up. Approach this as an ongoing refinement process, reinforcing the truth that no one can deliver what I deliver the way I deliver it. That you also want to create scheduled tasks around, like every week. Up, time for my brand check in, right? And with this, you also want to infuse that language that we talked about earlier, where we ask your most loyal customers why they keep coming back to you. Their feedback combined with this prompt will help you to figure out what people think and feel when they think about your brand and how you can harness it and actually capitalize on it and get better. Constantly getting better. This is not a one and done process. This is something you constantly revisit and you keep refining and improving. Another Bible chapter and verse that I find to be extremely helpful for entrepreneurs. This one is one of my favorites. Behold, I am doing a new thing, making a way where there was none. So entrepreneurs need this Isaiah 43:19 chapter and verse like every minute of your business, especially because entrepreneurs of today are building a business in a marketplace that is changing rapidly all the time. Change is more consistent and more rapid now than ever before. There was a time where you could build a solid business and it became an institution in whatever neighborhood it was in. People relied on you. You had the business for 20, 30, 40 years. Now the world is changing so fast that it's a new world that your business is serving every 4 to 5 years. And not being afraid of innovation, change, a new world, um, is just about how you're going to keep innovating and also doing new things within you and your business, not being afraid to embrace new things, to try something new, even though it's completely new and foreign to you. I would say that me personally, I enroll in as many master classes and sessions as I possibly can to keep learning new things and new innovations. And what makes me smile is that people who are late boomers, early Gen Xers. I'm usually the youngest person on those calls. It's people who are in their 50s, people who are in their 60s who are there refusing to roll over and die and not understand what new innovations are out there and how to use them. And that is how entrepreneurs have to think. I refuse to be steamrolled by innovation. I'm going to be at the cutting edge of everything that's new and not resist change in any way, shape, or form. Because the only thing that happens when you resist change is that ultimately you just become obsolete. Okay, the visibility velocity framework overview. So we're going to go into my specific visibility velocity framework and how we use this combined with AI to create systems for our entrepreneurial ventures and our businesses. So leverage, velocity, recovery, and authority. What do I mean by that? So, secret sauce is better than being a best kept secret. Must share the secret sauce. Leverage. Leverage is the thing that people come to you for that they can't get anywhere else, no matter how hard they try. The other people said they could do it like this, but they can't. That thing that keeps them coming back to your door, that's your leverage. Using what you already have, repurposing, repositioning, reframing your and making sure that you hone in on your leverage so that you can actually get I'm sorry, I just saw the burn your biscuits, and that is so true. Um, repurpose, repositioning, and reframing. That is what you do with your leverage, right? So let's move on to what the leverage is. Leverage is the unique magnet that draws people to your business, your story, your product, or your style. Identify, reflect on what sets you apart, extract the remarkable, uncover what's truly special, and shape it into your message. Remember, you got 30 seconds to figure out how to say what your 1 minute wow. Communicate clearly, share your leverage in all the branding and the interactions, right? Consistency, deliver that leverage every single time so that trust and brand clarity grows stronger. Some people hate repeating it. Oh, oh, so did that, right? Let me tell you, somebody's on a political campaign. What do? They say the same shit every single night. You know why? Because people need to hear it over and over again to understand what you stand for, what you do, what your platform is, and to not get the opportunity to use their own words and believe what they're saying over what you're saying. You are telling them about your business, not the other way around. Like, you do not need anyone to be telling you what you do or how you do it. They need to hear that directly from you. And so that's why you constantly create your own stump speech for your business, and you say it and you say it and you find a fun way to say it and you find a charismatic way to say it and you say it fun, funny, and however else you need to say it, and you just keep saying it. Find a way that you enjoy, find a way that makes you feel empowered, and just keep saying it. And this all ties back into that word bank that I brought up like at the beginning of the call. You're going to need the word bank in order to come up with this 1 minute wow about your business. If anybody has any questions or comments, just know that I'm seeing some comments from LinkedIn and some from Facebook, but I'm not seeing any comments from the YouTube or Instagram streams. So if you have any comments or questions, send them to my Instagram DM or even post them once we put this up, and I'll definitely make sure to answer them. All right, velocity. Speed comes from systems, not from hustle. Speed, and let me just say this, systems, most people yawn when they hear the word systems, like, oh, they don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Systems is the only way that you make entrepreneurship not painful. I promise you that doing something willy nilly every single time, where you cannot create a system, brand it, and teach it to people to do so that you can go to Timbuktu for months and they can still stick by that system and actually build that business, you need it. So speed comes from systems, not from hustle. Positioning is your engine. So velocity is what is going to happen when your systems are in place. You can actually teach, you can recruit, teach, and groom a whole new set of people who can run that business in your absence, and they can take off like a rocket because they are sticking to the systems that you created and branded for them to follow, right? If you don't have systems, you're not even in this velocity conversation. You got to take a step back. You got to have the system set up. And that's where your chat GPT, your Claude, your perplexity, even Replit, if you're into creating tools, SaaS tools, if you want to create those so that you can go ahead and automate those processes. Velocity is when you take advantage of all the systems and then you start putting your positioning on turbocharge. So now here's where you get to take advantage of press and media. You get to take advantage of social media. You get to talk directly to your people because you started finding your people. So now they're starting to find you. They're coming directly to you, seeking you out, not you just seeking them out. But now you've got a system in place. You're finding your people. You're positioning yourself as an authority, and you are showing up in all the places where the person who does what you do, who does the thing, who makes the sausage in exactly that way, where they would be featured, what podcast seats, what panel seats, what positioning, what press and media, like where would they show up? And are you in those places? And if you're not in those places, let's turbocharge that positioning to get you into those places. So this is your velocity. Remember, you set up your systems, now you're speeding because now you're putting everything into place. You're using those chat GPT prompts on clarity, identity, analysis, and clarification, and you are just getting your daily scheduled tasks, you're refining your message, you're getting it out there, you're boiling down your 1 minute wow, you're pitching the press and media on Instagram. I can't believe I'm saying that because there was a time when I would say you never pitch people on Instagram, but you most certainly can pitch people on Instagram now. You're pitching them over text message. Same if you're lucky enough to get the media person's text message, a phone number. But this is your velocity. Velocity is how fast and consistently your brand shows up once your leverage is clear. You've identified the leverage, what people can only find where you give it. You have now started positioning yourself. You created your 1 minute wow. You know how to say it. You know how to have fun with it. You know how to make other people remember it so that they're saying it to you. Focused movement, choosing where to show up and committing to it. And this is where you kind of activate your email community, your social media, your press media and positioning, your podcast seats, your panel seats. Repetition, sharing the same core message often so people remember you. When you boil down your 1 minute wow, which, like I said, I do not use the words elevator pitch because I hate the words elevator pitch because I don't even like the idea. Every time I hear the word elevator pitch, I imagine being locked in an elevator and being a hostage to what somebody else wants to say. And that's not what I'm not trying to put another person in a position where they feel like a hostage. I would rather wow them. So I don't say elevator pitch, I say 1 minute wow. Once you figure out your 1 minute wow, repetition, sharing the same core message often so these people remember you. You have to be memorable. They have to remember you and what your 1 minute wow was so that when someone says to them that they're looking for a person who makes the sausage in just this way, they say, "Hey, I met a person who makes the sausage in just that way, and you're the sausage maker they've been looking for." Right? And so you definitely want to get your entrepreneurial stump speech together and get that thing going. And then momentum over perfection, taking action instead of waiting to get it perfect, right? If you don't already know you're not going to get it perfect, I don't know what to tell you, but entrepreneurs know that they're not going to get it perfect, right? Because perfect doesn't exist. It's not real. It's a concept, not necessarily something that exists in reality. You can get close, but um, seeking perfection is it is a um, hmm, it is a defeating practice. You want to get your only competition is yourself from yesterday and trying to get a little bit better the next day, but definitely not perfection. And even when you say your 1 minute wow, even when you come up with whatever your statement is that you're going to have fun saying, you might F it up. You might screw it up and say it wrong one day. And that's okay. You have to be able to recover. So I'm moving on to my next section, recovery, rest as resistance. So entrepreneurial exhaustion, decision fatigue, all of those things where you're tired of showing up every day with a smile on your face when you're taking your hits left, right, and sideways. You could be grieving. My sister passed away 2 years ago, the hardest thing I've ever had to endure, ever. My dad passed when I was 16, but that was different. Like, she was my best friend. She was the person in the room when my son was born. She was the person, my first call at all times, the person who I was on the phone with for 2 hours every night. And that silence every night and not having her at all of my work events cheering me on and just not having her around, fighting through the grief is something that I consider recovery. And you have to be intentional about it. You have to look at recovery as rest and resistance, rest as resistance. You could be grieving. You could have a broken heart from a relationship that divorced or separated that you were not prepared for, or you thought you guys were for forever. You could be heartbroken from disappointment because you worked so hard giving something your all and you didn't get anything back out of it. You could be you could feel like a failure because some project that you counted on, you had it for so long, you counted on it being around for a long time, it's gone. It could be any nature of things. It could be because someone you trust said something heartbreaking to cut you down. Grief shows up in so many different forms. It is a lot of people don't even realize it, but they're grieving how the world used to be because they're so resistant to change and innovation, and they hate that everything is happening so fast. And before they can even find out what a Twitter was, that's already over, and we're on to something new. There's so many people who are just resistant to the idea that change is happening and you just have to get with it. But whatever it is that's grieving you, is weighing you down, is hurting you, is discouraging you, is zapping your energy, if you don't take time to rest and recover, you cannot move forward, right? Recovery requires one thing: being radically forgiving of yourself. And I say this all the time to everyone I can ever say it to. As entrepreneurs, fixers, decision makers, people who make it rain, who create jobs, who create impact for other people, you are so used to being able to fix it or pivot or find a way out of something that when you make a mistake and you see the impact it has on other people, you can't forgive yourself. You are you have a lot of shame, embarrassment, you're beating yourself up. All of that has to go because your recovery has to include being radically forgiving of yourself. You have to know that you tried your best, that you weren't intentionally trying to hurt someone, that you gave it your all, and that just that time it wasn't good enough, that you prayed as hard as you could for something and it still didn't come through. And that's not your fault, and it's not God's fault either. It's just not meant for that moment. But the radical forgiveness is what is going to juice you up to keep trying. Because what happens when you don't practice radical forgiveness of yourself is that one hit puts you on your back. And then you're afraid to take chances in the ways that you used to take them. We can't be doing that. We have to actually say, I'm human. I tried as hard as I could. I didn't have a whole lot of help. I tried to do it, solve it on my own, and I just couldn't do it. And that's okay. Radical forgiveness is what is going to get you through so that you're willing to try as hard and as intense and try as fast as you would have before. So, recovery is your ability to pause, adjust, and realign without losing your brand identity, beating yourself up, becoming discouraged, disappointed in yourself, not wanting to try again, not wanting to give it your all, or you put all of the things on. Oh, I don't want to do this on camera. I don't want to do any social because the haters are going to say this, or what are they going to say, or I don't look good, or my makeup isn't done, or I got bags under my eyes, or any of the silly stuff that we all tell ourselves because somebody a long time ago said, I'm too big, or I'm too small, or I'm too short, or I'm too tall. And people have a lot to say about everything. But at the end of the day, you have to be radically forgiving of yourself. And just know that people who have something to say about you are just not there for you. And move on. And don't be upset with them either because there's somebody out there saying that what they have is not for them. So, reflection: learn from what worked and what didn't. Refinement: improve your message instead of starting over. Improvement, not restarting. We're not throwing the whole baby out with the bathwater, right? Because we made a mistake. We're just refining and we're getting better. Rhythm: protect your energy at all costs to avoid burnout. You don't keep pushing when you're in pain. You have to take time to rest and recover. Otherwise, you will be burning yourself out because you didn't take time to recover, to feel what you were feeling, lean into it, and just come back renewed. And I cannot put enough stress on why recovery is the third bar in my visibility velocity framework. It's necessary. And finally, authority. So, this is where we establish credibility through consistent communication. At the end of the day, This is the goal. This is the end zone, right? This is where we know everything else we've done up to this point is working because we finally walk into the authority that we have earned. This means that people are seeking you out instead of you seeking them out. This means that people are like, they know that you're the authority to come to on this thing. You're occupying the podcast seats, the panel seats, the radio interviews, the expert columns, and everything else that a person with your expertise would do. Authority is the trust your brand earns when people believe you before you speak. Proof through experience, results, and consistency. Clarity about who you serve and what you stand for. And leadership by teaching, guiding, and adding value. So, a couple things here. So, these things are all true, but the world is fluid, so we must remain fluid. What establishes you as an authority today will change as new innovations to your category of business change, will change with current events. I mean, look at the world that we're under right now with the White House administration that we have right now. Whole different world, right? Where things that used to be respected as an expertise, as an authority, are not anymore. The world changes and you must change with it. And you cannot get married to, well, I had this authority. Well, I did, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you did is fine. But what you're going to do is more important, period. End of story, no matter who you are. So I would just say, remember that being positioned as an authority is fluid, and you definitely must keep working on it and keep establishing your authority. And that you can do through proper positioning, media positioning, even social positioning, but also advertising. The problem with advertising is, out of all of the owned media, earned media, which is public relations, and paid media establishes authority the least because people know you paid for that positioning. And earned media establishes authority the most because you had to be chosen. Your pitch had to be that amazing that you earned the real estate in that magazine. You earned the 5 minute block on that local morning show or TV show. You earned that radio interview. You had to earn it. So they know that you are the authority. Otherwise, they would not have booked you. So just keep that in mind as well. All right, here's a framework prompt, right? It's based on my personal visibility velocity, which I created and branded. And I use this for all of my entrepreneurial clients. So, Chat GPT, act as a visibility strategist. Act as an expert in the visibility velocity framework designed to help entrepreneurs scale their businesses. Guide me through applying the four core principles, leverage, velocity, recovery, and authority to my business. Leverage, identify how I maximize the resources and strengths that I already have. How do I make sure everyone knows that I'm the only place they can go to get this thing? Velocity, determine how to accelerate growth and gain momentum in the marketplace, right? Like, how, once I actually create these systems and I identified my leverage point and I've created the content, how do I accelerate this growth and gain momentum in the marketplace? And let it tell you, as a visibility strategist, here are my best suggestions on how you will accelerate growth with your business and gain the momentum that you need in the marketplace. Develop strategies to bounce back quickly from setbacks and maintain resilience. Now, here's one thing that I stopped short of saying therapist because it is obviously a machine. But when you talk to your chat GPT, don't be afraid to say, I am experiencing this grief because my sister passed away 2 years ago, because I lost my business, because I divorced my husband, because whatever your thing is, right? Whatever is weighing you down and giving you grief. Like, don't be afraid to say, these are the things that are weighing me down, that I'm dealing with, that I need to recover from. But throughout my recovery journey, what strategies can I use to bounce back quickly from these setbacks and maintain resilience? What affirmations can I tell myself? What principles can I share with myself every day? What should I do on this recovery journey? Recovery is a journey. You don't schedule it in and say, hey, at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, I'm going to recover. No, it's a journey. It takes as long as it takes. It takes years. Establish and amplify my brand's authority and credibility in my industry. So again, this is where are the authority, the figures of authority in my industry? Where are they? What media outlets do they do interviews in? Where do people go when they're seeking an authority in my particular category? Through this prompt, we're going to ensure that every element of my brand is aligned with these principles. Help me refine my brand's messaging, positioning, and overall strategy to scale effectively, authentically. And this prompt is fully customizable. Make sure you take it for yourself and make it yours, right? You can use the core elements, right, of the visibility velocity framework, but you certainly have to put you in it. Otherwise, it's going to spit out something 50 people will get the same thing. You have to put your industry, your business, what you're grieving, what obstacles you have, and then let it work with you. That's the only way it's going to work. All right. Brand systems plus an AI upgrade. So, this entire workshop was about how we use AI to create systems for entrepreneurs just to make what we do a little bit more automated, a little bit more, make the experience a little smoother by creating systems, right? So let's go into the ultimate type of tool that we can create. So you don't need more time, you need more tools. What if you could hire a free assistant today? So, what I will tell you is a lot of you have been on AI workshops and you already know how to do this. And if you do, that's great. And if you've gotten one and you don't get a lot of value out of it, that's great too. You can continue to listen. But building your first GPT. So, naming your GPT and assigning its role is key because this is going to level set your GPT so it knows how you think and what you need. I'm just giving you a little small snapshot, but this is what my actual personal GPTs look like. I have one for SB Enterprises. I have one for a ghostwriter for long form content. One that's an email copywriter, only works on email copy. One that's just a virtual assistant, only works on virtual assistant work. One that is a business course creator, only works on creating new decks and courses that I need to teach. One that is an IP alchemist that just works on digital products. One that is for different 135th projects. That's from Operation Aunties from last summer. So just showing you that I live in this. I'm telling you, like I'm not giving you something that I'm not doing every day. From clarity to cash flow. How do we make it work for our businesses? um, Pam, we're missing a little something. Did you remove the GPT pages? So let me just go back for a second. From clarity to cash flow is where we are going to build our own GPT agent. So we are going to go into our chat GPT and where it says create a custom agent. That is my mom, by the way. She has no respect for the fact that I'm doing this and she's on this camera. He's inside. That's my son, Booski. We call him Booski Bear. And she's out here asking where he is because that's his bodyguard and protector. And she's always trying to figure out where Booski is, what he's doing, and who has him. And my son is the love of my life. He is the most delicious little person I've ever met, ever. And that's his bodyguard. All right. So when we are talking about clarity to cash flow, we're talking about building these agents. And what we're going to do here, because we're already at an hour and a half, is there's going to be a part 2 to this workshop where we actually build the custom GPTs. And we will have our chat GPT account. We'll go to custom GPTs. We are building your first executive assistant who is virtual. So your EVA, executive virtual assistant, for any of the entrepreneurs that sign on to it. And essentially, what we're doing is giving out all the roles and responsibilities that it is going to handle. And we are going to make sure that we customize it based on what you need. It is a 2-hour process to build a GPT agent in the way that it is going to be most useful to you. If you have that time, on our next part 2 to this AI for entrepreneurship workshop where we build the GPT, we are going to go digging into creating the instructions, the roles and responsibilities, uploading 20 items into your GPT that are what you wanted to know most about your business and reference as if it's a think tank. So make sure you bring all of those tools together, and you bring them to this workshop, which we will do next week Wednesday. Yeah, I think we could do it next week Wednesday. Next week Wednesday, we will do this same time, same place, 12:30, and we will do part two where we actually work on building out the custom GPT agent. If you'd like to be a part of it, just revisit the weekly masterclass page again and sign up. It'll go up immediately after this workshop. But I hope that you found this information helpful, and I'm dying for your feedback. Please hit me up. Let me know if you have any questions, comments. I will certainly post the prompts on my Instagram and YouTube page, and on my Facebook business page. But I hope you can continue to join us. We're having a blast doing these master classes, and this is the kind of information that people who are part of my Headline Heroes community get all the time. So just to give you guys some information, the PR playbook for those people who are looking to position their business, the PR playbook for remarkable entrepreneurs only, is a book that I wrote. This is what the book looks like. It is completely interactive, so you can type right into it all the information about your business. So this playbook is a continuation of the Position for Profit PR Masterclass. So after you take the masterclass, you get 5 core principles. What do you do with those principles after you hear me talk about the 1 minute wow, and hear me talk about recruiting the right type of media, and hear me talk about extracting the remarkable? This workbook for $28 is exactly what will help you to take each lesson to the next level. That's where you actually go to. It's $28.88, not going to break the bank. And essentially, for the cost of 4 cups of Starbucks, you can change the entire trajectory of PR for your business. You can scan this code right here to go straight to the link where you can go get your $28 book. But essentially, you can work in the workbook on the rest of our masterclass sessions when you talk about 1 minute wow, when we talk about word banking and those kinds of things, or you can work on it on your own. But everything we discussed is in the playbook so that you can customize it right for your business. And we talk about the kickoff of the campaign, the end zone, building authority, the 1 minute wow, recovery as resistance. It's all in there. So think of it as a continuation, because we all sit on master classes and we're fired up and we learn a lot and we take a lot of notes. And then what happens? You hang up and life happens. Your kid needs something, your aging parent that you're taking care of comes and crashes your Zoom, or they need something. Your job needs something, the conference call, the pipe burst, the water's leaking, whatever it is. Then that immediately takes you away from everything that you learned. This interactive workbook is a way for you to continue the learning. So how you get a copy is right here. This is what the playbook looks like. And again, you can go read more about it on my site. It's all there. If you are interested in more coaching sessions and master classes, we definitely have this, the community called Headline Heroes, which was built by me. And if you've visited my Instagram page or my YouTube page, you've seen the one-on-one coaching sessions I call hot seat coaching sessions that I've been doing with my students. And everyone gets a free hot seat coaching session. And then beyond that, there is the membership fee, and they have the pitch and sips that we do once a month, where everybody brings their pitches to the table. We drop key tips and information inside the group, worksheets and documents that you can download and get whatever you need to help you build your 1 minute wow. It's all in there. And so the Headline Heroes is just a place where you can not work in isolation. Isolation is expensive. The invisibility tax is expensive. All of those things. Those are things entrepreneurs are trained to do, because who else is going to come save them, right? So they just get used to working in silence and working in a vacuum and doing what they know to do best, right? Build their business. But when it comes to visibility and catapulting your authority and making sure that you have a much more visible business where your people can find you, and not just your customers, but also like your dream hire. When they're out there interviewing, they can find your company being the best fit for them if you're more findable. All of those things need community. We're not going to do it by ourselves. Because if we could do it by ourselves, we would have already been doing it. So building this community as an alliance of people who are all seeking the same thing is what can help us to actually make more progress, knowing that you're stronger than you think, helping to get past those moments of recovery without have doing too much damage to ourselves or our business. Here's all the things that can help you do: stop reacting and start leading, developing a thinking muscle of how to catapult your visibility, um, and the result is the authority that you build. The headline heroes is only 24.44 a month. So again, nothing that's any type of get rich scheme. It's just a community. And how you can join is right here on the QR code. And so you can join the family right there. And we look forward to hearing about everything that you entrepreneurs have going on and what you need and what you are looking to do, and what other types of information that you need from your hot seat coaching sessions and things like that. And again, any other questions, because I'm not seeing any comments here, definitely send to me on Instagram. Thank you for joining. I so appreciate everybody. I'm really enjoying these live coaching sessions and these live master classes and getting to hear feedback. I will see you next week when we build the Chat GPT agent together. And I will see you soon. And thank you for joining me. I will see you all soon. Bye.